We're going to go ahead and take a look at now operations with decimals. And so we're just going to look at some of those algorithms, but hopefully make some meaning out of those algorithms. So for example, on these first two examples of adding and subtracting, right, looking at 3.56 plus 7.59, here is the standard algorithm, right? You go ahead and put them over each other and just add them. That's the standard algorithm. And so the idea of why do we line up these decimal points, it's important to consider why we line up the decimal places. Is what we're trying to do is notice 3.56 is 356 over 100 plus 795 over 100 equals 1151 over 100, right? We remember decimals are just fractions. And so sometimes we prefer to work in fraction form and sometimes in decimal form. So the same thing goes here. This is 94 over 10,000, 80,183 over 1,000 because of the three decimals. And what we're trying to do is we need to convert them into, if we're going to do it in fraction form, it needs to have the same denominator to add them. And so that's what we're trying to do, is when we're trying to line up the decimals, is that we're trying to end up with the same common denominator. The same thing happens with subtraction, right? I've done this one here. 7.56, why do we line them up? It's the same ideas that we would need to make them the same common denominator, and so that becomes an important step in this process, is thinking and knowing that's why we line them up. It's not just something we do. So this is 7,156 minus 8 over 1 tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. And so that's why somehow, in order to do this arithmetic, we need to have make sure that it has the same denominator, right? And this would become 756. I need to add 2 more zeros, so there's your 10,000 minus 8 over 10,000. And so that's where you would end up with the values that we end up with. This becomes 755.92 over 10,000, which is the same answer we get here. And so the addition algorithm can be stated, right, as align the decimals. And your subtraction algorithm, right, is this idea of align the decimal points, subtract if there were just whole numbers, and then you put the decimal point back in. So that's the algorithm for subtraction, right? But again, that comes from the denominators here, that the denominators need to be made the same in order if it was in fraction form.